Lonzo Ball news, man. What do you think? No pain in the knee. No pain in the knee for Lonzo Ball.
Buzz, I'm not reading into anything. He's not playing basketball.
Well, yeah, I know that, but I mean, that is
it's
more
positive.
of a
we've touched on at this point with his story. It is more of just quality of life at this point too, which is kind of crazy to say when you're talking about an athlete that's making $20 million not to play their profession at this moment, which, given the fact that he's dedicated his whole entire life to his craft, is another hurdle in terms of a mental hurdle in itself, probably depression at the very least. So it's positive to get this news that he's finally able to do regular activities pain free. That is obviously the first step that he needs in order to get back to basketball activities and being comfortable on the floor, and even being a semblance of the player that he once was. So definitely a positive. But as a fan, after about 2 years, it's more of a happiness for Zoe than it is allowing myself to
buy into what it might be on the court.
Correct.
Yeah. So
I'm happy for him. I have no expectations or no hope in terms.
So the feel-good story is that he obviously opts into the player option because he's gonna, right? And he comes back next year and he plays and does well. That's I'm sure what the hope is for the organization and for him himself. I follow kind of along the lines that you do. Depending on where our timeline is or whatever the hell, what we're watching, whatever this is, whatever they're trying to do. I don't see him return. I mean, he has been off of competitive basketball for 2 years, 2.5 years almost. I mean, he missed all of last season. He missed this season. He missed more than half the season before. I mean, it's going to take a long time to get back. So it's like a Brandon Roy thing, right? I mean, and hopefully it doesn't end like that for him.
Well,
I mean, better.
And with that name in mind, Brandon Roy did say that he could have played in the NBA as, a role player after his injury. But that just isn't who he saw himself as, and it wasn't who he could accept himself as on a basketball court. Obviously, for Zoe, didn't really have quite the heights that a Brandon Roy had, to where you had that superstar kind of path and potential. Zoe's all-around game may work in his favor in being able to carve out a role in being a similar player to what he was, just because he's not a high-flying, athletic kind of guy. His game isn't based on the drive and kick. So as long as he can keep the consistency with that jumper, his basketball IQ isn't going anywhere. So it would be easy to trick myself into getting high hopes in Zoe and Kobe and the remnants of the roster next season. Definitely sounds like a fun storyline, but at least for now, I'm just going to be happy for Zoe and the fact that he's getting back to feeling normal and being able to do things without hesitation. But besides that, I'm going to let the future do what it's going to do, because I'm not going to read too much into it.
Just let it play. It was the first time I ever heard Billy Donovan so confident while talking about him. Like, the pain that was ailing him before has now been eliminated, and he's in pain-free, and he's going to start running in January. It's like, wow, these are a lot of matter of facts, when for the last 2 years it's been, I'm just going to kind of see how he feels, and we don't really know, but now it was just like, this is what it is, which I was very happy to hear. Speaking of Billy, he talked about Zach as well. Zach's ramping up, could be coming back sooner rather than later here. They're going to reevaluate.
This whole Zach situation is jacked, because
it's jacked to the point where I have to be 100% honest with you, and I'm so sick. I don't give a fuck. I just have to be honest. I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say about this. I don't want him. I don't want him wearing a jersey for them again. There's no fucking reason for it. There's no reason for it at all. Not because they were playing better, but because he might come back, think he can fit in and win us some fucking games that are going to do absolutely nothing. Needs to go.
I guess for me, it's more like, it's just embarrassing, because you had your agency put all these things out there, tried to push this agenda, got all this extra media attention because of who you're represented by, and when that plan failed and not a single team in the NBA would offer enough value for you to the Bulls for them to feel comfortable in moving on from you, now you're going to be getting ramped up and coming back from this mysterious injury early, before that January 15th date, that we were all kind of set on, anticipating there would be a deal lined up for. Him coming back just tells me there is no deal lined up. There isn't a deal that is going to be lined up, and the Bulls are stuck with Zach LaVine in this $40 million contract unless they want to take shit back, is essentially what this tells me.
That
This
fucking sucks, doesn't it?
this doesn't tell me that Zach LaVine is happy and he's ready and he wants to be a part of the team again. This tells me that absolutely no team is going to trade for him, and Zach's agency has informed him that the Bulls are not going to move him for half a bag of chips, and he better get comfortable in Chicago.
He's got to start auditioning again, dude. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, you know, what are you? Are you going to be that? Are you going to be that fucking, what is it? The 50, 40, 90 guy that we saw for a little tiny bit, or right on the cusp of it? Are you going to be that 25, 5 and 5 guy? Can you do that?
I mean, because if you can't, you're proving the point that everybody that was scared to trade for you during this hiatus was worried about, is the team that you're sitting out from was playing better basketball without you, and you make over like 25% of their salary cap per year. It's not a good look. So he has to come back, and he has to do it in a way to where this team wins, and he has to fit in and show that he can contribute to winning.